I'm glad you found your dog. Welcome, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, to the Markout Movie Podcast. Aaron lost his dog earlier. He just said he found it, and as we went live, I said, "I'm glad you found your dog."
Well, the dog
Oh,
is at the Humane Society, but we'll be picking him up tomorrow. But yeah, um, Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey. And we are, as I said, we are the Markout Movie Podcasters. And on today's episode, we are reviewing my pick, sadly, The Christmas Chronicles 2. Hello,
Hey,
Bill.
Bilfer. Yes, Christmas Chronicles Part Two. Now this is the follow-up. This is a sequel to 2018's Christmas Chronicles, which is also done by Chris Columbus, which is actually a really good movie, a good Christmas movie with Kurt Russell and a few other people in it. But boy, did the 2020 sequel to it blow chunks. Um, Kate Pierce, now a cynical teen, is unexpectedly reunited with Santa Claus with a mysterious troublemaker when a mysterious troublemaker threatens to cancel Christmas forever. Starring Kurt Russell, who's I like Kurt. He's not so much in this. Goldie Hawn, which she's there. Darby Camp, Julian Dennison as Bells Nickel, and then Jazier Bruno as Jack,
He's from
and
Deadpool
then
2.
really,
He plays a little kid that they're trying to kill.
and
Well,
then which little kid? The Bells Nickel.
yeah.
Oh, really? I knew he looked familiar. I didn't know where I saw him at. That makes sense. And then Tyrese Gibson is not the character from Fast and Furious, but or maybe it is, and he's on vacation and he has a new family. And we're gonna talk about that. Brandon, you ready to go ahead and give the mark as for this movie?
You mean the numbers?
Yeah, that this movie got me all disproportionate.
This movie got a 6 out of 10 on IMDb. It's got 3 out of 5 on Common Sense. 80% like it on Google. It has a 65% on Rotten Tomato meter with an audience score of 45%. And that's where I'm leaning towards that latter part. That 45. I agree with that number.
I could go ahead and tell you what went wrong with this movie.
Everything.
First, yeah, everything. But first, one of the most compelling characters in the first film was Teddy, and we had little to no Teddy in this movie. Uh, I like Teddy in the first film. He's the older brother that was the troublemaker who uh, becomes a believer in Santa, essentially. And Kate is the character that I didn't like in the first one, but in this movie we're stuck with more Kate. And then not only that, we add another annoying kid, Jake or Jack or whatever his name, and it's just this movie's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm dealing with some back issues today. Um, but yeah, it's terrible. I agree with you on the Teddy part. He was one of my favorite parts in the movie. I just loved his whole story arc in the first movie, and they kind of recycle that with the daughter this time around, that she didn't get to say goodbye and all that stuff. But we've already seen it, and we've seen it more compelling. In the first film, you get like 5 minutes of Teddy here. Uh, you know, she's having issues with her mom dating Tyrese. And first off, do you believe they're a couple? I mean, do you look at Kimberly Paisley and you look at Tyrese? Do you believe that's a thing realistically?
Like they
I'm
claim
talking
that
about the
they knew
characters.
each other.
I'm not talking about the
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
Actually, just the
yeah,
characters.
yeah, but they claimed that they knew each other for a very long time. Like he'd known her for some years, and so I guess this might have been an old boyfriend or old friend from prior to her husband who passed away in a fire in the first not on screen obviously, but Um, I don't buy. I don't buy. I don't buy Tyrese in anything. Like literally, other than he's now just held as pigeon-toe. I don't know if that's the term, but he's held as the character from Fast and Furious for me. Even in Morbius, I was like literally. I mentioned this yesterday. You said it, and I agree with you. You said as soon as he popped up on screen, you rolled your eyes, and literally that's what I did. The same exact thing when I seen him on screen, that was the same way with Morbius. I was like I literally could just be okay without Tyrese, and I'd be okay. That's how I feel. And so no, I don't buy them as a couple. Just they seem too opposite. But I don't know nothing about him. Like his character is so flat. You don't know nothing about him at all.
Hey, let's hire Tyrese. He's from the Fast and Furious movies. He'll bring in viewers.
Man, it's just like it just and then also the randomness of them going to summer like a vacation, like Christmas vacation in a tropical place. It just was
and
dumb. And
splitting
and
up.
I
Everybody just split up. It was just like, what kind of family vacation is this?
yeah,
Let's go
I
spend
remember
any
when I
time
first
together.
I, I remember when I first watched this. I remember hoping that Teddy. I was like, well, maybe they're gonna go back and get Teddy or get him to, because I really wanted, and that's what was missing for me in this film is Teddy. Teddy was like the glue that held everybody, all the other characters together in the first film. He worked well with Kurt. He worked well with Kate. Dealing
Yeah,
with her annoyingness, but she was palatable with Teddy, filtering through Teddy. And the other kid, I guess he'd have been okay, but I guess they wanted just to have an adventure with the new kid, Kate, and then I guess you know, Kurt probably said, "Hey, I want Goldie to have more screen time." God bless him. She got more screen time. Oh Lord.
yeah, she got more screen time, and you know, I was expecting something completely different in this movie than what was given. Like when I heard that she was going to have a bigger role, I was like, well, Goldie and Kurt's always had good chemistry on screen, so that'll be fun. And it was the opposite of fun. It was borderline boring. It's like she's kind of, I don't want to disrespect her, but she kind of sucks in this. I'm just gonna call it like it is. She sucks. Kurt's not very good in this either, in my opinion. I feel like the difference between him and the first one and this one, he's having fun in that first movie. He's singing like Elvis. You even brought that up when you were watching it last night.
Yeah.
That watching the first film before you watched the sequel, you didn't notice that he was actually essentially playing Elvis during that jail scene. He had fun with
And
it.
and what brought it out for me though is actually, uh this is a admiration for how well Austin Blair did. Austin Butler rather did. I was right, Austin Butler.
Austin
I
Butler.
didn't mess it. He did an excellent job just with the mannerisms of Elvis because it was when I seen Kurt do that little shimmy thing like that with the
Yeah,
hands up, and immediately I went straight to like Austin as Elvis, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't realize that Kurt was pretty much doing his Elvis shtick, like reliving it.
yeah,
And then you brought up that this is technically is like his third time really doing like an Elvis type of thing. He played Elvis in the Carpenter film, which I've never seen. It's one of the two or three Carpenter films I have never seen. Um, and and what else? Uh, he was in 3,000 Miles to Graceland.
yeah.
And lastly, is that what you refer to?
Well, he did a little scene in Forrest Gump as well. When Forrest was teaching Elvis how to dance, they used him somehow in that scene. I don't know if it was just a leg shaking or what, but they or maybe it was just a voice. I'm not sure, but I know that he was part of that movie in some fashion as Elvis. Um, but yeah, I just though I think Kurt just looked like he was there for a paycheck in this one. Like he knew the
Yeah,
script was bad. I'm not gonna have a good time here, and I'm just gonna get through it. And they did something that they do in Santa Claus sequels. They gotta have this villain, this disgruntled employee of sorts, as his villain. Is gonna try to destroy Christmas and try to destroy Santa. And I'm just, it's a boring plot line, and it needs to stop. It didn't work in Santa Claus. What was it, 3? It
mm-hmm.
didn't really work. You said this. Kevin Spacey, when he played him in Fred Claus, doing the same thing, didn't really work there either. He kind of took away from what was actually going on, and it just needs to stop. Like when I saw
Yeah,
that at the beginning, this elf was gonna like try to destroy Christmas, and I was like, God, not this again. I just watched this with Santa Claus 3, and Fred Claus. I mean, I hate that little story arc. I hate it.
yeah, yeah. I do too, man. I think that it just that this is played out, man, with the villain that wants to shut down the whole operation.
Yeah,
The best at it would probably honestly be Kevin Spacey trying to do it with with Fred Claus. But there's probably other concepts that I'm not thinking about. But still, I think that it's just immediately when I seen him, and he has like a little elf that's helping him, and he has like the tiger or the whatever cat you call it. But it's just so dumb. Yeah, it's just dumb and it's cheap, and it just felt like, oh man, just the movie felt like a waste of time. And even like comparing the singing and the song and that they chose for the first film in the jail, which
yeah,
felt more natural, felt like a fun time. Like I had fun with it. Whereas this one, the airport Christmas song was just like so boring. It was just like it was not. And then
forced.
like they did the forced, yeah, and they did something dumb with the security guard, clearly a stunt double, doing like the dances and jumping around. Um, yeah, it just was it's silly. Um, this is just a waste of a movie, uh,
Yeah,
and a waste of Kurt Russell's talents. Honestly, it's how I feel.
I agree. I agree. It was a waste. Um, you know, they went wrong with this movie from the get go with the elf, and then no Teddy, and it just Kurt Russell just didn't look like he was having a good time. He just looked like he was there for a paycheck, just trying to get through it. Even though he had his wife with him, you know, I I don't know. I just it's
And
a
she didn't look like she had fun either. Like literally, like with the this night and day between
yeah,
Christmas Chronicles and Christmas Chronicles 2. You can tell that they didn't have as much fun. Like the first one, Chris Columbus comes from the he's a student of Spielberg. Um, I'd say he, Joe Dante, um, maybe a few. We know what's his name? The Super 8.
J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams definitely is a student of Spielberg. I'll throw Jordan Peele out there. He seemed like he's a student of Spielberg as well. But I think that they have. So with that being said, they kind of tend to capture that magic that Spielberg has when it comes to like the first film had have those magical elements. And like we spoke about this before. It's just something you can't really put your finger on. It's just like when you watch like a Spielberg film, you just feel like uh, transported to a different place. I
Yeah,
felt the same way with Goonies, and that was Chris Columbus. I think no, it was Donner. I think it was Dick Donner um, that did that. But Spielberg was heavily involved. He's like the producer. So
yeah,
it's Spielberg. all in it. Then what the other one I was thinking about? Like, there's so many other ones, man. That Gremlins, that was I think Joe Dante. I think it's Joe Dante.
I think so.
But also Spielberg is all in it. He's producer. Just he has like when he is involved with something with these people, he tend to make them great and make the productions great. And I think that Chris Columbus on his own did really like the first one felt like that magical type of film. It's hard to explain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
yeah. I mean, he's not. I mean, well, I think Chris Columbus. Obviously, I think the Home Alone first two films, uh, but of course, he is known for duds too because he did write the script for Home Alone 3, and that's one of the worst films I've ever seen or tried to watch. I didn't get through all of it; it's just so bad. So I mean, it is a night and day difference between the first Chronicles film and this one. I mean, it's just I couldn't wait for it to be over. I was like, God, just end this. This is embarrassing. I mean, it's just it's a night and day difference between Christmas Chronicles 1 and 2, and obviously, you know, we already reviewed the first one and we had a good time doing it earlier on when we started doing the Christmas films. But
Mhm.
oh man, I would have rather been talking about that movie so much more
Yeah.
than this one. But I'm trying to think of something positive to say about it. I really don't have anything positive to say, other than North Pole looks like North Pole should look in a Santa Claus film.
Yeah. I,
Um,
I thought that the elves, the way that the elves interacted, and like they essentially try to make the elves gremlins in this one.
yeah,
That's the vibe I
I
was
even had
getting.
that feeling in the first one. Like they were like these little creatures that kind of look like gremlins, but like older. But I thought that was interesting, a concept to go with. Instead of like little people.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't like the CG in this though. I thought it was worse. Um, I thought the main elf that turns bad, his CG was awful. Oh my god, it was
Mhm.
just so bad, and he didn't help matters because he just wasn't a very good. I don't know if it's his acting or if it's just the character wasn't well written. It was just I don't know. Nothing was well written in this movie though, so
Yeah.
it was just bad direction. I hate to
Yeah.
say that because it is directed by someone that gave us a lot of fond memories as a child. Chris
And
Columbus.
and I and I don't think that it actually like took like the first one, man. It's just thinking about it. The first one, they did an excellent job with having it take place like on Christmas and having like that Christmas feel to it.
Yeah,
Like especially like Santa delivering the presents and when the kids was helping them. I really enjoyed that part. And the connection that's connecting with. And this one, it actually takes place like several days before Christmas, I think. And so there's no the only real threat is the star, and he's gonna get the star back. There's no um I don't know, man. I would say Kurt though. If I gotta say one positive thing, I'd say Kurt has shown that he makes an excellent Santa Claus.
yeah.
And he like in the first one, you tell he had so much fun with it. And I keep going back to the first one because it was just hands down a better film than this. This is a mess of a movie. It's like they had a script, but they didn't know what to do with it. I
It
don't
felt
know,
rushed,
man.
in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
Netflix, I guess it was a huge hit first time around. Netflix said, "Okay, we got to get this rolling for the sequel." And I just felt like it was rushed. Everything about it was rushed, and it obviously, I guess, ultimately killed any chance for a third. I imagine this didn't do well. So, um, I mean, I've never heard anyone talk about this movie, which I found weird. Like you didn't even bring it up, and you never brought it up. I was like, I've heard no one talk about this sequel ever, and I was like, it can't be that bad. I mean, and obviously I watch it, and I'm like, it's one of the worst sequels I've ever seen. It's
Yeah.
on par to Home Alone 3, like really bad.
It,
It's just
yeah. If this was 2020, I know that this would have definitely made your worst list
Oh
for
gosh,
sure.
yes. Top five worst
But
films, no doubt.
yeah, it was just a travesty of a film. You ready to give you ready to give your marks for it? I guess because I
Yeah,
want to talk about something better.
yeah. I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 5 on the markout meter.
I too would give it a 1 out of 5. It's just not worth anyone's time. There's much better Christmas films to watch. Claus on Netflix, is it still the animated one?
Yeah,
It's such a great film. Did it hold up for you? Wouldn't you
yeah,
watched it again? Didn't you?
yeah. I liked it better the second time actually. So yeah, I think it'll probably become a tradition. I'll watch that every year. But yeah, it's a much better film. There's a lot on Netflix that's much
Hey,
better.
big 8-Bit Christmas on HBO Max. I watched it again. It's by far such a great. It's so heartwarming. The father and son connection in there every time makes me tear up. Just Steve Zahn, just reminds me of being a kid, and my dad forced me to go out and help him to, you know, put a fence up or do whatever, and I didn't really want to do it, but he was trying to help me and teach me lessons in life. So there's some good stuff out there. Not this. Stay away from Christmas Chronicles. On Prime, there's Mines Are Yours, uh, something like that. Christmas, Mine Are Yours. I forget what it's the way it's like a British uh, Christmas comedy, and it's actually really really enjoyable. And then you seen some you said you would like to you mentioned as well recently.
Yeah, I watched one last night. Love Hard. I thought that was very entertaining. Um, it, it's a rom com, but during Christmas, it deals with online dating. You know how people lie about their pictures and stuff. But it's a heartwarming story in the end. Let's see. Uh, watch The Bishop's Wife, which is a classic 1947 Cary Grant film. That's much better than this. I mean, there's so many more better, much better Christmas films than Christmas Chronicles too.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to move from Christmas Chronicles, and we're going to try to end this within 30 minutes. So we're going to talk briefly about the Fablemans. I'll make sure I spelled it right. I did. This growing up in post World War II era, Arizona young Sammy Fableman aspires to become a filmmaker as he reaches adolescence, but soon discovers a shattering family secret and explores how the power of film can help him see the truth. Starring the Oscar-worthy Michelle Williams in this film as Mitzi Fableman. Um, Gabriel LaBelle is Sammy Fableman, who he should be nominated at least for something. I thought he did well. I thought he did really good. Paul Dano as Bert, you just love him in this movie. Uh, uh, Judd Hirsch as Uncle Boris, which I loved him, and then even Seth Rogen knocks it out the park as Benny Lowry. And it's just so many other people in this film. This is pretty much the biopic of Steven Spielberg, directed and written by him, and also written by um, let's see, Tony Kirshner. What do you think about this movie, there, Brando?
Oh man, you know when I saw the trailer the very first time, I mean I was like, this is a movie I have to see in the theater because it's gonna be magical, and it was. And like I still don't know what my best movie is gonna be. All year I've said since it came out it was Elvis, all year. But this is heavy competition. It really is. Um, I love the story. I love this kid watched what is it, Greatest Show on Earth,
Great show on earth, yeah.
and it created a whirlwind, man. It just created so many possibilities of what he could do. And I remember having that kind of same reaction when I watched Jaws. I would do the same thing with my toys, and I don't know. It made me want to be a filmmaker after watching that movie. So he had the same experience. Obviously, he did a lot more. He became Steven Spielberg. And it was great. I mean, if you're a fan, if any Steven Spielberg movie you hold close to your heart, you're gonna love this movie. You're gonna cheer for this movie. You just are. It's heartwarming. It's sad. Oh man, with everything going on with the family. Oh man, but I
It's
totally get it
magical.
too. I totally got it. I got Michelle Williams' character. I know some people could be like, she's a bad person, but not really. She was. I don't want to spoil anything. I just got her character. I truly felt what she was feeling, and I don't know, man. It was a magical ride. Uh, and a lot of people say Spielberg's lost a step or two. He hasn't. You know, he
Wait a
had,
minute, hold up. I, no, there is no way. Like literally, the last two Spielberg films I watched was this and West Side Story. I thought West Side Story was excellent. I thought it
yeah, I
was
did too.
excellent. I thought like it made me just like oh man, just so it's so gritty. The just and still magical. See, Spielberg has that way of making something that you would think I don't even you don't even do musicals like that, but he made it a
Yeah,
magical
the only reason I
experience.
watched it because he directed it. So that's why I was there. I'm not the biggest musical fan, you know. So he got me there, and I loved it. I appreciate musicals more because of him. So if a new one comes out, I'm probably going to watch it because I had such a good time with West Side Story. I haven't seen the original, so I think before that, the only movie I can really remember watching, as far as a musical, was probably Grease. You know, I like that because of Travolta, but I've never been a big musical person.
Let's give Paul Dano a round of applause.
He was really good in this.
He's this has been his year, man. He was in the Batman
Mm-hmm.
and he was a really good villain as the Riddler. And he took it to a dark place. You know, honestly, let's be honest. Jim Carrey's Riddler was not at any way scary,
No,
but Paul Dano made him actually terrifying. Like a presence. And but yeah, he did that film, and then he went on to play a totally different character as Bert Fableman in The Fablemans, and he seemed like such a loving father, a loving husband, but he's very analytical. He thinks things and sees things, the mechanics of it. I
yeah,
loved how he broke down to young Sammy what motion picture is, what makes it, and just the way that his mind thinks. I mean, his mother wants to show him the magic, and so that's what we get with Steven. We get like a guy that can break down the analytical portion of it, but with magic and that experience of him, like the scene of him seeing this movie in theaters and experience like the train crash and all that stuff. Like it reminded me of like seeing. I remember seeing a couple things. I remember never in the story. I remember thinking, oh wow, there's just dragons flying,
yeah,
and thinking like that's really cool. And then I remember seeing Three Men and a Little Baby and thinking I can see Ted Danson at this movie. Like he'd be in the back. Like I didn't, my mind didn't understand that he's not literally there. And yeah, and then also Stanley Cooper's Full Metal Jacket took me to a different place, and I was a kid watching that movie. Uh, but yeah, man, this movies, man, can transport you to a new place, man, and aren't we just so uh aren't we so lucky to have Steven Spielberg as as a filmmaker? So
oh, absolutely. I mean, I totally believe this. There's nothing that man can't do, film wise. You know, he can transform anything to anything, and he's done it throughout his whole career. It's just he's unbelievable to get a mind like that at the time he came up and still going today. I mean, it's it's a miracle. It really is. I absolutely love him. I mean, I've always said this: if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be a guy that loves film or the imagination I have. I say it's all because of him. Like I ain't gonna say I'm the biggest Steven Spielberg mark there is, but I like to think I'm up there.
You're pretty close.
I absolutely love him. I cherish him. I mean, he's amazing. And I think,
Yeah.
are you there?
I'm trying to find it. I'm there. I'm trying to find it. Hold up. I'm here. There I am. Yeah. It went away for some reason. I had something pop up on the screen. But yeah, I want to real briefly before we give our little marks for this. I want to highlight Michelle Williams, who is of your Dawson's Creek alumni.
Yep.
Would you say that she has had the most success out of anyone that came from Dawson's Creek?
Without a doubt. It's not even close. And
could you tell then on Dawson's Creek that she was going to be this?
They all gave great performances in Dawson's Creek. They had to. The material was that good. But I always could tell that she had something extra playing Jen. She had a lot of dramatic scenes. So I always could tell she would go places. How you doing, Jackie?
Brandon says hello. She can't hear you. I got my earbuds in.
Hi, Brandon. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, she says.
Be safe.
Be safe. But
no, I'm not going anywhere because it's of the snow.
Yeah.
but I felt like, that she would go places. I also thought Josh Jackson would have done more because with how he portrayed Pacey. But yeah, I mean, Michelle's been great.
So I've never seen it. So you had Katie Holmes, James Vanderbeek, Josh Jackson is his name, and then Michelle Williams,
Chris Smith.
Chris Smith. I don't know him. What was he in?
Kurt did the first Final Destination. Kind of played the jock.
The jock guy. So he was in that. Okay. Then Kevin Williamson, who wrote it.
Yeah.
Right. And who went on to do Scream and has his own career, post Dawson's Creek. I'm gonna have to one day watch that show, Brandon, for you. But yeah, because you talk so well about it. You literally named your kid Dawson, so there you go. But no, I thought from what I've seen Michelle Williams in, I thought that she did an excellent job in this film. She has in this movie, she steals every scene that she's in.
Yeah.
And just as Mitzi is a misunderstood woman, but but like you said, you understand her.
Yeah.
You know where she's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But. And then Judd Hirsch, man, as Uncle Boris. I'm glad for his cameo. I consider it a cameo. As I love, like, he's in Taxi, he's in other stuff, but I'm glad to see that this man is still getting work. He's also in the Go-Birds. He's the grandfather of he's the father of the dad in the family, which they wrote him off the show. So there you go. Oh man, this movie, man. You kind of want another one. You want to kind of keep seeing Spielberg's career.
Yeah,
growing.
I mean, I don't know how well it's going to do because it's still not like it's limited. It's got a limited release. It didn't go everywhere. So I hope it does well, though. I really do, because I would absolutely love a sequel. I mean, showing him directing Duel, even though it's not really him, but it's him.
But it's him. But we know it's him. Like in watching this movie, there were scenes like with them as kids, and there was in there like scout stuff, but it kind of felt very much Indiana Jones. And for yes, we know George Lucas technically directed Indiana Jones.
Well, he wrote it.
Well, Spielberg directed it and he wrote it.
No,
Yeah.
Lucas wrote it. Spielberg directed it.
Okay. Yeah.
First four.
Yeah. Like there was an Indiana Jones reference in this film. There was a what else? There was a there's a poltergeist. I feel like there's a poltergeist reference with the phone call. Like very ominous. Yeah, it's just like this movie, man. This is gonna be one of my favorite movies like going forward. Like it's a movie you want to see again, and it inspires you want to see the other movies that Spielberg liked as well. That's what I said for myself.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. It's, man. I mean, I felt it was always going to be great. It was even better than I could even imagined it being. I mean, it was. I feel it's one of his best films he's ever done, and that's saying something because he's done so much. But it is. I think it is my favorite movie he's done in the last decade. And I really liked Ready Player One. I really liked West Side Story, but I felt this was a passion project for him, though.
Yeah, this is a story that he needed to tell, and it's ambitious to like. I've seen interviews with Michelle and Paul will say Spielberg came to him and pretty much saying, "Well, I want you to play my parents. I want you to play my mother, my father." How much of an honor that is, man, to know that Spielberg wants you to play his parents.
Yeah.
But yeah, you went away for a minute. But we'll go ahead and let's give our markouts for this film.
Oh, it's easy. I mean, it's a 5 out of 5. I mean,
it's a 5 out of 5 for me. This is a perfect film. Honestly, in my opinion. And it's gonna make next week hard because we're doing our lists, our best and worst of 2022. So it's gonna be fun. But
are you
Brandon,
gonna try to see Avatar?
I'm gonna try to eventually.
I've heard really good things about it.
I also want to see Violent Night.
All the Santa movie. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if it's still playing though.
Well, now it's on home. You can watch it at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, Avatar will be the next one I really want to see. I don't want to see Whitney Houston. I heard nothing but bad things. I've heard it's pretty bad. But
that's not good.
No, it's not good for Whitney. Well, she's got dead, but it's not good for
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, next week we're doing our best and worst. As of right now, we're gonna aim for maybe 30 best and 10 worst. I don't know. Me and Brandon will discuss that. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen 30 films that I like.
I have.
I know you've seen over 100 films this year. But in the meantime, in between time, Brandon, what are we going to do?
We want you to like, share, and subscribe to the Markout Movie Podcast.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Kwanzaa. And just have Kwanzaa is a real thing, but I don't know what the saying is. Happy Kwanzaa. I think it's Happy Kwanzaa. A friend of mine said to have a very good Kwanzaa, but we want you to have a happy Kwanzaa. But yeah, we want you to have an excellent time with your family and friends, and be sweet to each other, be nice to each other, right? And be safe out there. You gotta drive here in Warren County, Logan.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Absolutely. Be careful.
Yeah.
Safe travels.
That's right. Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey.
And we are the Markout Movie Podcasters. Thank you for marking out with us. Stay away from Christmas Chronicles 2. Just stay far away. Watch Fablemans. You'll love it.